We have a quorum, right?
All righty, we are at 3:30. Are we ready to go? All right. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Soltrans Board meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, can you confirm that we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any statements of conflict from any board members? Nope. I was looking right at Mitch. Nope. Unless there are any additions, deletions, or objections, I move the approval of the agenda. Second by Mayor Young. The agenda is approved. Call the vote, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Hearing none, the agenda is approved. This is the opportunity for public comment. This is on any matter not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Soltrans Board. Soltrans Board welcomes public comment on matters within our jurisdiction and authority, but strongly denounces hate speech, obscenity, and disruptive behavior in meetings. Disruptive individuals will be admonished and removed from the meeting pursuant to Government Code 54957.95. We ask for members of the public to ensure their remarks are within the jurisdiction of this board and to refrain from making hateful or obscene comments. Manny, would you please start our sign-up clock for public comment? And Madam Clerk, will you read the following public comment notice?
Thank you, Chair Scott, members of the board. Members of the public wishing to sign up or to speak may sign up at the kiosk in the back of the council chamber. Public dialing in by Zoom may click the raise hand icon, and those in by phone may press *9. At the conclusion of our 2-minute sign-up period, in-person speakers will be called up to the microphone first, followed by those wishing to comment on Zoom or phone. While this is the opportunity for public comment on items not on the agenda, there will be an opportunity to comment on any item on the agenda at the time that a particular item is heard.
Thank you. Do we have any persons wishing to speak under general public comment, Manny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Currently do not have any members of the public who have signed up for the opportunity for public comment at this time. There is 25 seconds left on that timer, but as of now, feel free to carry on with the agenda. If anyone signs up, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay, please advise me when I'm ready to go. We are. Thank you. Next is the item 5, which is the Executive Director's Report. Ms. Cranda?
Thank you, Chair. Next slide, please. Thank you. So on July 1, we launched the bay loading process at all of our transit centers. So this is similar to how train stations and airports work, where you have the visual and auditory announcements telling you what bay to go to get your bus. So there was some confusion at the beginning, but people are getting used to it, and it's working well. Next slide. We continue to do our second Friday events with our partners, La Clinica and Catholic Charities. Next slide. We participated in 2 parades this year, the Torchlight Parade in Benicia, where we placed 3rd place, and the Vallejo 4th of July Parade. Next slide. Here we are. We hosted the seaweed game, and I don't know if you could recognize that man pitching, our very own Terry Scott.
That ace. Yeah, the ace.
It was a fun day, so
Abuse.
thanks to everybody for coming out.
Stop.
707 week kicked off on July 7th with our own very own La Russell paying for all local and express rides for that day. So it was very popular. We were happy to do that. Next slide. Youth ridership, as you can see, continues to grow. Ridership has doubled compared to last summer, so we're very happy about that. And I'd like to introduce you to our high school intern. It's Maria Christina, MC. She's here today. She's a senior, or about to be a senior at MIT in Vallejo, and she's concentrating on public outreach events and helping with marketing. Thanks.
Welcome.
Can we hear from her?
Oh, sure. You want to say a few words?
Hi, I've met a couple of you before. I don't know if you remember me. I've been to MIT, and well, I go to MIT, and I'm really happy to have had this opportunity to become an intern with Soltrans because it feels really good to be making a change that helps the community, especially one that you really love, one that you grew up with. So I'm just really thankful to be here.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Okay, this is a big one. On Monday and Tuesday, we got through our triennial review. This happens every 3 years. The federal FTA auditors come out and they go through everything. The triennial review focuses on financial management and capacity, procurement practices, operations and maintenance, civil rights compliance, ADA, Title VI, and DBE requirements, grant administration and oversight, drug and alcohol compliance, and technical capacity, which in essence says our staff knows what they're doing. We got a very good review, so I wanted to congratulate everybody. They've worked so hard, and they were all so good throughout the audit, so I want to congratulate the team for such a good job. Thank you. Okay, Benicia rocks. We're doing a free shuttle around Benicia on Route 15 and 17. For both days, Saturday and Sunday, the buses will run every 40 minutes and dropping people off over at by Safeway, Military and First. So if you're around Benicia, jump on the bus. Next slide, please. Back to school nights are coming up. You could see we've got events in Benicia and Vallejo. Next slide. And tomorrow, we're inviting you. TransDev reached out and they planned a volunteer cleanup day, community cleanup day at Washington Park. So if you are available to come on down tomorrow, 10:30 to 12:30, we'll have the gloves and all the equipment you need. And I want to really thank TransDev for setting this up. We're excited to participate with you. And that's it for me.
Terry?
Thank you.
I got a question for Beth. Could you go back to that first slide? Yeah, so I, when it's, oh, that helps. So these are when the buses arrived in the left-hand column, ETA. And what is the bay number? What does that represent, V11 and V5?
Where the buses pull in at the transit center. We used to have it where buses pulled in according to the route, but we were having some overcrowding. So now we have the buses pull into the furthest one, and the announcement will say, hey, now arriving,
Okay.
go to bay V5 for the red line or whatever.
All right, good, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm exhausted with all of that hearing about all that public outreach, so thank you. And most importantly, congratulations on the FTA audit. That is incredible to go through that 3-day process and be able to come out basically with a gold star. So thank you so much, and greatly appreciated to the entire staff who put in all of the time working with all the folks from FTA that were here to review and audit. And remind everyone that Benicia is having the Benicia Rodeo on the 26th and 27th, a shameless plug for the city of Benicia. Do we have any board directors who have any comments?
Through the chair.
Please.
Going back to your report, was this the change that you had because of the call that we had about the bus driver? The patrons were very frustrated with the confusion of everything?
Yeah, that was the very first day. This has been in the works for quite a while, and it just took time for us to implement, getting all the equipment and getting started. So change is hard, right? So they continue to have road supervisors available to direct people and explain the system and how it works.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Anyone else? Anyone willing to make a public comment?
None at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Let the record show that Tanya is here representing Mayor Source. Proclamations and presentations, we have none. We will now move to the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be adopted in one motion unless a request for removal or explanation is received from a board member. Items removed from the consent calendar shall be considered immediately following the adoption of the consent calendar. Do we have any persons wishing to comment on the consent items? Do we have anyone wishing to pull a consent item? I would like to pull 7A, the minutes of the June meeting. And I'd also, just 7A, because two items in 7A. Anyone else?
The landscape maintenance contract.
So that's 7C? Contract for landscape maintenance? Okay. Mayor Young would like to pull 7C. So we have 7A and 7C. Is there a motion for 7B and D?
I'll move it. I'll second.
Please call the roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. So the reason why I pulled item 7A, the minutes, is that there were two things. There was actually one primary item in the record that's asked or said that Soltrans was going to provide a letter to STA, I believe, for a clipper reimbursement. And I'm not quite sure if I have that.
To MTC.
MTC, excuse me.
Yes.
But have we done that?
We're still working on putting the letter together.
Okay, do we have a timeline on that?
Yeah, end of the month.
And with that, I'm sorry. And with that, did we have any effect of the Clipper outage a couple days ago?
If we did, it was rather minor, I believe. We're looking for reimbursement for that day.
Yeah, we'll include that in the letter as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. With that, I move to approve 7A, the minutes of the June 12th meeting. Do I have a second? Second. We have a second for Mayor Young. Please call the roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
And now we'll move to item 7C, which was pulled by Mayor Young.
Thanks. So, the way I read the staff,
Microphone, please.
the way I read the staff report, it appears that the selection or the recommendation of this consultant was done by a single person at Soltrans?
No, sorry. We don't tend to do any of our selections that way. It was done with the procurement department as well as general services and Christina and Beth as well.
Okay, because it didn't say that. It just talked about how it was reviewed by general services and deemed responsive. I think it's just good I'm glad that we're doing this. It read as if there was a single person. I just want to make sure that there's not.
Yeah,
we're not breaking that.
by general services, I meant the Department of General Services, not me as the manager.
So you said there were two or three people, Christina and yourself and Beth or somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. With that, I'll move the item.
I'll second that.
All in
call-
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We are now through the consent calendar, moving on to the regular calendar, item 8A, the proposed revision to the fiscal year 25-26 capital budget. Christina?
Hi.
Mike's yours.
Hi, good afternoon. We had a slight glitch in our electrification when things were powered up. There was a piece of equipment damage has to be replaced. So unfortunately, it's going to delay electrifying all the chargers. We had not put this in the capital budget for this fiscal year because it was supposed to be done by June. So I've got to add it back to the capital budget, and I'm basically including all the information on how we would be funding the remaining budget, because we haven't paid the last couple invoices for the contractor, obviously, until this is completed. We also haven't paid the retention. So most of the $1.1 million for that project, most of it is for actually the contractor. Their contract to this point has already been approved by the board. I just need to roll it into the capital budget. It's going to be funded by state LC top money. We had money set aside for inductive charging, which we are not going to be doing now because our consultants have said it's not necessary for us to do that. So it was better to reappropriate this money to the rest of the electrification project and cover those costs. So that's really the big change. It's really carrying a project over from last year. In addition, because I'm doing this amendment, I went ahead and adjusted 4 other projects for better information that we had now. We had one project that we didn't have to carry over that actually we finished in June. And there was actually budget savings from that project. So I was able to cover the cost of some of the other capital projects that have come up since, like replacing 2 of our bay doors at our maintenance facility. And with that, everything's covered. The $85,000 in TDA funds is not new. That was money we already knew we needed to spend on these projects and already had set aside. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just want to be clear that on the reappropriation of money, we did not have to move other projects off. We just held the money and put it back in.
Yeah, we had, 3 years ago when we thought we were going to be doing inductive charging,
Right.
we programmed 2 years of LC top money to inductive charging. This last year, we had consulted with CTE. They're kind of the experts in electric buses and helping implement electric buses. They did an analysis of our routes, our buses, then the range that we could get from these new buses. And they said, you do not need inductive charging for the way you're running business now, and we don't even see you needing that anytime in the near future. And the cost to construct and put inductive charging is so costly. In addition to the actual construction of it at the transit centers, each bus would need an $80,000 receiver added to it. So we had significant cost savings by canceling that entire project. So that I had to reprogram now the LC top money. It's much easier to reprogram that money to a project that's already been approved by the LC top folks, and because electrification was already approved previously, it's an easy change to reprogram this money.
Okay. There is a bit of irony in here. Using diesel generators or whatever they are to charge up electric
Yes,
buses.
we are. Yes, us and many other agencies, sadly.
Okay. Mayor Young, I see you have a question.
Yes, thanks. 2 questions. It says in the second sentence that it was determined that the capital budget was not updated to include board-approved contract increases for vendors. Was this simply an oversight
Yeah, it
on our
was.
part?
Well, last year when we brought forth like the Patriot contract to add money to it, and the board approved it. At the same time, it says to update the capital budget, but we never really brought an amended budget back to you. So I'm just trying to clean up the file here.
But when we approve a project or a contract increase, that should be the end of it. I mean,
It is. It should be.
We don't need to come back a second time and say,
No,
okay, we
no.
just approved it.
What
now
I
put it in the
probably should
budget.
do is add verbiage at the time that you're increasing the contract, and we know how we're going to fund it, that it automatically is an increase to the capital budget.
Okay, and what's the status of asking the contractor for some
I've
penalties
seen
or-
some, unfortunately, Pat Carr, our project manager, has been out for the last week, but I've seen some emails that just came through today with the construction manager. They're pulling together, we have to pull together the days of where we're at with construction. If we go past that number of days, then we can start assessing penalties. Interestingly, we actually talked to the FTA reviewers about this because that's a federalized contract. And what they've advised us is that what we need to do is just make sure we're whole. It's like we're not here to penalize the contractor unduly just because of time, but to recoup our costs. So we're keeping track of what, if any additional costs. So far, we haven't had any because the contractor is paying for the generator, the fueling, et cetera. So, but if there's additional costs that we incur, we will be having to go after Patriot. And we'll work with Bernadette on that because I'll definitely be invoking, the legal clause in that
But
contract.
so far, they're not contesting this, the contractor's not.
So far, no. So far, they're paying for whatever has come up. So, but I have a feeling as it drags on, like the construction manager is going to need to add money to their contract. So if we get to that point, then we'll definitely be looking at how to recoup those costs from the contractor.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other board members? Are there anyone, public comment, Manny?
None at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have a recommendation, to approve fiscal year 25-26 revised capital budget as presented in attachment A. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made. Is there a second? Second. Madam
All in
Clerk?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Move on to non-discussion or discussion items. I'm sorry. 8A, and we're moving on to number 9, discussion informational. Next item is 9B, the comprehensive operational analysis.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. Today I'll be giving you a quick update on the status of the COA system redesign project and next steps going forward. Next slide. So staff with our consultants are writing the final report. We're putting the finishing touches on the concept revisions based on the public feedback and stakeholder feedback. And then we're building some draft schedules and vetting them with our contractor and our operators to ensure that what the analysis says, what we did in the computer and in paper, really translates to the street. And then we'll be including all of that in the final report, which we'll bring back to you in September. And then Jarrett Walker, who is our consultant and the principal at Jarrett Walker and Associates, presented the Solano Express service concepts and summarized public feedback to the STA board last week, which some of you were present for. And the takeaway from that, the majority of the board appeared to be supportive of relocating the Walnut Creek destination for the blue and yellow line to Concord BART, and then the merging of the green and red line with the caveat of having some express trips from Fairfield to El Cerrito del Norte BART during that really high peak period in the morning and the afternoon. The point of, I guess, conversation during the board meeting was, of course, Davis, and the request from the STA board was for Jarrett Walker and Associates and Soltrans to come back with what providing quality service to Davis would cost the agency, and then that can be a discussion point for the STA board of funding, and that will all be included in the final report. Jarrett did emphasize very strongly that, and Soltrans believes that Davis is an important destination that we need to be going to, but with the restraints of our budget and resources right now, given the objectives of the COA, that wasn't a possibility. So we will be providing that, a draft schedule and what the cost analysis would be to add that quality service to Davis in the final report. And then going forward, we will be presenting the revisions to the Public Advisory Committee, getting their feedback. So you'll have the final report, but you'll also have the Public Advisory Committee's feedback in your final report and with those revisions. And then in September, we'll have the final report, the revisions, and the recommendation from staff to move forward with the public outreach process for a major service change next August. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I have a question, and I'll turn it over to the board. STA requested significantly more than obviously the brief notes that you had provided. And I'm not suggesting that that's negative. I'm just saying it was a very lengthy, very specific meeting. Are we planning another visit after the September board review? Is there the plan, and if so, when? Is it going to be presented again to STA to show them the answer to those questions that they had asked?
Yeah, I think we can.
I think we need to.
Yeah,
should.
we will. We have to provide what they've asked for.
Right,
Yeah. I don't know when, but it's going to come to this board first, obviously.
right,
Yeah. Then we're making a commitment that we will go.
okay, right. No, I understand. I just wanted to ensure that we recognize the importance of working with our partner. Mayor Young?
Yeah, it was a very interesting discussion at STA. I'm sorry that Mitch wasn't able to make it. Do they videotape those things at STA?
They record.
They
I don't
record
know
them,
that they
but no
videotape.
videotape, just audio?
I
Or the whole
believe
thing?
so. Do you know?
At minimum,
It's, yeah.
Given the fact that it's a Zoom recording, that they may still have that as a video.
Okay. Well, if it's possible, I would suggest the chair take a look at it, the STA chair, Supervisor Mashburn, because I thought it was there was a lot of interesting back and forth among the board, and the consultant gave what I thought was really good presentation, answered a lot of very specific and somewhat technical questions about moving to why it's a good idea to move to Concord instead of Walnut Creek, and what the issues are about the blue line and the Davis thing, and could it move to a different location in Davis? Is that feasible at all? Why or why not? In your report, Mandy, it said that information would be included in the report. What kind of information are we talking about?
The cost analysis, so what providing quality service to Davis would look like, and then there would be like a draft schedule, so what that schedule for that quality service would look like, yes.
Okay, and there was some talk about, on the merging of the red and green line, that it wasn't a full merger, that it was still going to result in some green line, but not as nearly as frequently as the red line.
Correct, yeah. There will be 2 a.m. through trips, green line trips from FTC straight to BART in the morning during those highest peak times and in the afternoon.
But they also could take the blue lines through down 680.
Correct, yeah.
We
That
go into
that bus
Concord.
trip will now be shorter going as it merged to Concord. So if you are traveling from the North County, the blue line would be a shorter bus trip than the green line at that point, yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
Anyone else? Manny, are there any public comments?
No comments at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Let's make sure that we include every one of the options that we heard during our discussion in Sassoon. We'll now move on to the system performance report. Ron, it's up to you.
Good afternoon. We'll cover productivity, what service was provided. We'll cover trips and hours based metrics along with rider and passengers metrics. So first thing we have is monthly ridership by mode. Local ridership increased by 11% for school trippers, almost doubled since fiscal year 24 at 95%. Express ridership increased by 9% and ADA slightly decreased by 1%. Next slide. Ridership by route. This is the updated ridership by local route for June. Every line has experienced an increase in ridership since last fiscal year except for the 15. It's possible at the end of the year the school students used transit less or preferred the Route 17. School trip ridership was only 1 week in June. Oh, really? And next slide is ridership by route. We got, yeah. This is the updated ridership by express route for June. All routes experienced an increase in ridership from last year, fiscal year. We attribute that to reliable service. Missed trips are down significantly from last year. The next slide is ridership year-to-date by mode. Ridership year-to-date is up by 10%. Local, 72% school, and 6% for express. ADA is currently 5% below from last fiscal year. In trending ridership by mode, this is a look at our trending ridership for fiscal year so far. June has seen an increase of 12% from last fiscal year. The key takeaway is that ridership following a seasonal trend but growing compared to last year. Next slide. Trending ridership by mode for school ridership. Here's a look at the trending school ridership for the fiscal year. So far, June has seen an increase of 46% from last fiscal year. Next slide. Trending ridership for express ridership. Here's a look at what we have so far. It's an increase of 10% from last fiscal year. Next slide. And this is ridership for mode for ADA. Here's a look at our ridership. It's a 4% increase from last fiscal year. We noticed that ADA is not following a seasonal trend and cannot be predicted. However, we are monitoring paratransit and trying to dig deeper and get a better understanding of ADA ridership. Next slide. Productivity stayed the same or increased for all modes except for school trippers, with local at 9%, express at 5%, and ADA at 27%. School trippers decreased to 66%, which is, again, is due to us entering the summer season where school is not in season. And then we talk about express monthly productivity. Productivity is measured as passengers per revenue hour, and load is the maximum amount of passengers per round trip for the route in the month of June. We're hoping to increase. Sorry. Oh, we're hoping to increase express productivity on these routes with the upcoming COA. Next slide. Average productivity year to date by mode. Average productivity year to date increased on all routes except for ADA, with local by 9%, school by 52%, express by 4%, and ADA decreased by 6%. And missed trips as percentage of scheduled trips. For missed trips, there was 12 for local and 3 for express. Overall, missed trips in May decreased by 29% since last month, from 21 to 15. We're continuing to work with our contractor to bring this number down by investigating reasons for missed trips and providing mitigations. Next slide. Local missed trips by route. Looking at the missed trips so far, as a whole, they decreased by 4 trips, about 33%. Express missed trips by route. Stayed at 3 trips, however, it's isolated just to the red line for the month of June. Next slide. Performance, we'll talk about OTP and verified complaints. Next slide. So local on-time performance has increased from last month. On-time performance has generally been trending downwards since February. However, there is now an uptick since May. Both local and express routes have met their OTP goals, and that's the contract goals, not the board goals. While there is significant improvement, especially on the local routes, we think there may be some underreporting on the true on-time performance as a result of the disconnect between our systems and drivers, as there are a handful of cases where drivers are not following the assigned routes. And we are continuing to work with our contractor to address these issues. Trending verified complaints. As a reminder, verified means that complaints that are identified as valid by evidence or data or in our video cameras. There were 12 complaints in June, which is a 67% increase from last month. Safety, we'll talk about accident metrics. There were 4 additional accidents in June. 1 was preventable and 3 were non-preventable. This brings our total accidents for the fiscal year to 39, a 13% decrease from last fiscal year's 45 accidents. Any questions?
All right, thank you. That was an amazing report. As you really move through it, if I see the milestones, and I need to ask you to define productivity first.
So
on slide, monthly productivity on slide 10. Can you give me, on the express line, what is the goal of productivity?
Goal of productivity, on which slide is he talking about?
Or how do you measure productivity? What are the elements and the indicators in there?
It's passengers per revenue hour for productivity for any mode.
Riders per?
Per revenue hour.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
That's
Okay.
for all the modes.
Thank you. So if I got it right, missed trips are down, ridership is up, youth ridership is up, safety is up, monthly productivity is up. That's an incredible report. So thank you. So now I will turn it over to the board for some comments. Mayor Young?
Thanks. Ron, how do we, so there's two different metrics. One is for missed rides and one is for late rides. And the missed rides is, 3 a month across all the routes. How do we define what a missed ride is?
So a missed trip is
Missed trip.
is defined as a trip that was not performed or was partially performed, but it was not completed. So it's a trip not completed.
So they just never showed it all,
Right.
either at BART or at some point in the route, it just fell off.
Yes.
Okay, and then what about, and then I think you talked about late ride, is anything over 5 minutes late?
Yes, anything, our lates are defined from 5 minutes or more late.
And is that a standard that's set by the feds or somebody else? Because that seems like a pretty tight window.
That's a standard set by the feds.
It is?
Yes, that's a
Okay.
standard that's used across all transit modes.
Because we had a fairly lengthy discussion at STA about their Guaranteed Ride Home program, which offers Uber rides up to $100 each for buses that were 15 minutes late. And what the consultant said is that, and maybe, and I get your comments on this as well, that when you're driving down 680 to Walnut Creek, there's so much traffic that is completely out of our control, that the idea that we should be held responsible for a bus that is 15 minutes late in that kind of a commute situation seems to be unnecessarily punitive to the agency, right? Unnecessarily costly. And so if 5 minutes is what's considered late, but we're using 15 minutes for this guaranteed ride home, what's a more reasonable number that you would think if we're going to actually give somebody an Uber ride home worth $100? What is the metric that you would recommend?
So for a guaranteed ride home, the standard metric that is used for a program like that is for emergencies. Anything considered like, you were caught in overtime that wasn't planned, or there's a family emergency and you don't have a ride available, for transit and you got to get straight to your destination. Those type of emergencies, it depends on how the GRH program defines it, but it's constituted as an emergency. So when it comes to delays, like regular transit delays or anything like missed trips or anything like that, that's kind of out of our control. That's not something that would be guaranteed as a guaranteed ride home for the standard guaranteed ride home program. So as in terms of having a number for providing how many minutes late for a voucher, I wouldn't provide a number for any of that. It would not, it just wouldn't, it doesn't make sense. I think it's a waste of money and resources, and it's very hard to track too, because generally speaking, like you said, in Bay Area traffic, everybody runs 15, 20 minutes late. That's why we know to plan out and plan ahead when we are making our plans for our trips. So it's kind of a standard. So to be held responsible for a bus running 15 or more minutes late is not even reasonable to the agency that's sponsoring that.
And I would agree. Mitch, do you remember, do we also have a program? We have two guaranteed ride programs. One is for this instance, like he talked about, was it a personal emergency?
It's the mic to do what it's supposed to do, but yes, we do. We have one that is for just that type of thing, an emergency in that situation, and we have a second one that is for the late trips. But I would say that one of the statements that you made was that everybody in the Bay Area plans for 15 or 20 minutes that we got to be late. But when you're transit dependent, you don't get to make that plan, because you can make that plan or I can make that plan because we got a car. But when I got to make a connection, when I got to catch Concord BART and I'm 15 minutes late, then I'm just late. I'm going to miss that train and there ain't no making a plan, and there ain't no fixing that. And as a parent, when I'm coming back home and my bus is 15 minutes late or 20 minutes late, and I show up to the daycare 30 minutes late, or I show up to the daycare an hour late, then not only would I have had to pay for the Uber, which now fortunately they're picking up for us, but then I got to pay the fee for picking my kid up late from the daycare. And it impacts all the people that work there too, right? So there are cascading effects when this happens. And unless we can say that it is every time absolutely the fault of somebody else in traffic, and it's not our fault because whatever reason we were too many minutes at each stop, which compiled and became 15 minutes late on the run, right? Or we were, in other words, assigning blame or assigning fault becomes difficult, right? And ultimately, the reason that we're paying that is because those folks are transit dependent, and we want to keep our ridership. Because if they can't depend on a ride that happens when it's supposed to happen, they'll have to find an alternate means to do that and to get to work and to get to where they got to go because they can't depend on us. This is to offer dependability to our customers so they remain our customers. If we can get to a point where we have dependability across the board all the time and we meet a federal standard that says it's 5 minutes, then we wouldn't have an issue. We can't seem to quite get to that number, right? So all we're trying to do is find a way. We're not trying to assign blame. We're trying to figure out a way to get to a number that is acceptable to the public so that we can maintain our ridership. Because as you saw on the other slide, ridership's important. It's increasing, and we're doing good, right? Because we have some level of dependability, but it's costing us a lot of money right now. So,
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and
Tanya?
I think there's one thing I need to add too, just in general when it comes to transit and catching, buses and or trains, there's always an expectation of a delay. You should always expect there to be a delay somehow, and you should always plan for it. Even when I worked at other transit agencies, if you are a bus driver and you have to catch a bus to work, they always tell you to catch 2 schedules ahead to ensure that you make it to your destination on time, just in case the bus breaks down, a mechanical breakdown, or any other delay that might happen while catching the system, using the system. So I think that's just part of transit. Making a number for a late or this magical number, it's not even reasonable, I don't think.
absolutely
I'd like to bring
understand that too.
Executive Director.
One of the significant issues that we talk about when we meet at MTC and talk about at the Highway 37 Policy Committee, and when we talk about all the toll lanes and all those other things that go on with our freeways and highways and transit right now. One of the things that is brought up continually, and I don't care if it's in one of your wealthy counties, which is Marin, or if it's Solano County, where we aren't necessarily that, is quality of life. And you're absolutely correct. I can correct the issue by catching the bus an hour earlier, right? And just in case it breaks down. But if I do that at both sides of my commute, that's 2 more hours that I've added to my commute. So now my 2-hour commute is a 4-hour commute, and my 8-hour day is a 12-hour day. And it impacts the family, it impacts everything. Quality of life is the single major biggest issue for the users of transit, that and having to pay a toll. I think that we hear from at MTC across all the counties, across the thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who use those highways and those systems. Quality of life is one of their biggest issues. And having to make that adjustment in order to make transit work for them sometimes just doesn't work. It can be done.
Yeah.
It has an effect.
Executive Director?
Yeah, and I just want to mention, I think we're all in agreement. We're trying to get to bigger or greater frequency because in normal public transit, things happen. That's just the nature of the game. And when you ride a bus and it doesn't come, or train and it doesn't come, sometimes you have to make adjustments on the fly. But it's a lot more palatable if you have a bus every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes. So that's where we're trying to get to on the COA. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about the COA. But public transit is imprecise. I used public transit for many, many years, and I've had to make alternative choices. So I understand what you're saying.
Thank you. Helen?
I'm really baffled by the inconsiderateness of what people go through, and you're assuming by one bus. If a person has to take multiple buses and they miss that one bus, forget about it. The day is gone. I sent to you all a complaint of a person whose system was all messed up, but on top of that, missed multiple bus. And I like to tell my boss, hey, I like to prepare in case my bus don't show. Can I leave an hour early? That don't always work that way. And I'm very surprised that you sound so harsh with that. But I prepared, no matter what, I prepared to come here. I wasn't expecting to get a flat tire. You know, I prepare. I'm like one of the biggest prepared person you could imagine. You should see my, look, I prepare. But it doesn't mean that things happen. When people miss one bus, and it trickles down because we're assuming you're only missing one bus, but if they have to make connections, forget about it. The day's done. And if you miss an appointment, they only give you 15 minutes to get there. They don't care. They don't care how many buses you had to take to get there. Now, we can talk boldly because we can get into our vehicle. But like my colleague said, these people, when they depend on transportation, and I believe we're trying to build trust, that's not the attitude we want to have. I mean, wait, I'm not done. We want to have the attitude that you can rely on us. And people say that they cannot rely on us, but we want to build that up. We can't have statements like that. So I'm very happy that they created this program that offers it. And I remember a time when the bus didn't show, like you see bus 3, that's my bus, bus 3. And if that's an hour bus in most times, depends on the time of the day. If I miss that bus, I miss the connection downtown. And I can't go to the city because that's where I work. So I have to look at it. And I remember a time that I would call and they would come pick us up directly and then take us to the depot. So there's services, but it's the tone that I could prepare all day long, but it doesn't mean it's gonna work. And then I'm assuming I don't have no children with me, and groceries I'm carrying. So I'm just saying, when you make statements like that, we prepare, but if our day is already shot and our boss don't care, and we really depend on public transportation no matter what, we need to have those services lined up, and I'm happy that they created it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree. So if that's the case and we're happy with it, I'm fine with it. The purpose of me here is to make this system as effective and operate and the bus get on time when it's supposed to be there. And that's what I've been doing, and that's where we're going to continue to improve in, so that systems like that on the background hopefully will not have to ever even be used, or if it does, it's minimal. So that's the goal. I know from personal experience from catching AC Transit as a kid, because I was born and raised in Oakland, I know how it is to miss a bus. I know how it is to run after a bus. I know how it is to catch a bus to work. I used to catch a bus from Pinole all the way to Oakland Hills to the Head Roy School, my very first job. So I know how it is to miss a bus and almost not make it to work, but I used to plan for that. And that's just how it was. That's just something I make happen. That's just part of catching transit. And unfortunately, we still have to make those adjustments. And it's not saying that it's reasonable that we have to do that, but that's just the way it is when it comes to riding transit. And I appreciate the program. If that's the direction that we want to continue going, that's great. But at the same time, that's why I'm here, to make sure that our OTP is building and we continue to have rides when they're supposed to be there.
And again, there's assuming that if you miss one bus, you're going to be late for the next bus, and you're going to be late for the next bus. So it doesn't matter how you cake it. If you had that experience, you should remember that as when you're planning. And everybody plans, but I'm saying to you, if I miss one bus, then I'm going to miss the next bus and have to wait another time for the next bus. So I think the program should be, and as we're working on these issues, again, we're not a perfect system, and we're planning for that. And I'm glad that the program is implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Tanya?
thank you.
So thank you for your work, and I appreciate the dialogue that just occurred. And to our director, thank you for the work. And I have to say, this is tremendous progress, because I could remember a time buses were not on time. So you've done a great job, and I thank you for that work. And I'm grateful that you do have experience riding the bus and understand. And it is true, we're at the 680 is a heavy quarter, the 80 is a heavy quarter, and all of these things are true at the same time. And so having the program where, if needed, someone has to really keep moving and they can call the Uber and not have to pay for that, I think that's really important until we can really have get our system really strong. So I do appreciate your efforts and creating a balance in this work, because it's important to me too. I do have an option, and when I do take the public transit, I do want to get there on time. And I'll be honest, I do not want to take 3 buses ahead of time or whatever. I already get up at 4:30 in the morning. So I appreciate the effort that you as a team, as a board, really are teasing out these issues. And I know it's hard. So thank you for the work. And as we continue to look at the report of the missed trips, and the 5 minutes is the federal guidelines, I just real quickly, because it might have been said, but I might have lost it in the conversation, is it that our goal is, are not just our goal, but are we doing it today where we have buses coming every 15 minutes or not yet?
No, we don't have a frequency of 15 minutes.
No, we're trying to get there,
Okay.
and that's what the COA process is about
Okay.
totally increasing frequency.
Okay, so thank you. So our goal is to get to every 15 minutes on certain heavy lines at some point in time. Okay, thank you very much.
And I think in summary, the goal is to get everyone where they want to be when they need to be there. And thank you for your comments, because we have made a significant progress over specifically the last 6 to 8 months, and thank you, Ron, for really helping to spearhead that with TransDev. And so it's great to have a safety net, and we understand that we need a safety net, but the reality is what we can control, we're seeing the curve definitely moving in the right direction. And the only thing is, the other thing would be is we saw one of the 3 missed trips that we've had was highway patrol inspection. Here we go again with the highway patrol. If that wouldn't have happened, we'd be down at 2. But nonetheless, we're trying to work on that. So thank you for the lively discussion. Are there anyone's wishing to make any public comment?
No commenters at this time, Mr. Chair.
All right, I believe there's no action required on this item. And we will move over to non-discussion items on the state legislative report.
Non-discussion, unless someone has a question.
The report's the report.
Yeah, it is what it is.
All right. If anyone wants to make a comment on the report? All right. With that, are there anyone in public comment that'd like to make a comment?
None at this time, Mr. Chair.
This is a time where we open it up for Board of Directors' comments. Does any Board of Director wish to make a comment? Please.
I would like to say thank you to Soltrans for the invitation to the seaweed. Unfortunately, I couldn't come. I wish I could split myself into 1,000 people, but I haven't figured that out yet. I also want to share that I did attend the MTC Wayfinder, and I'd like to read out what he wrote for you all. It says, thanks again for participating in today's meeting. I think it's correct email. He wants to report that the MTC is leading a regional mapping and wayfinding project which seeks to harmonize all transit signage throughout the Bay Area, including Soltrans bus stops. The MTC project team is currently working with Soltrans staff and 19 other Bay Area buses operation to develop and set bus stop signage design guidelines to all bus stops around the region to help individuals with disabilities of all sort look and feel. The MTC is also working with Soltrans, WETA, and all City of Vallejo's to plan for full retrofit signage at the Vallejo Transit Center and the ferry terminal as part of the regional mapping and wayfinding pilots project. planned for implementation in 2026 to 2027. Last thing, I am also serving as a project accessibility working group, which is helping to ensure the project is responsive to people with various of disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
And then yesterday, I had the opportunity to participate with Jamila Hanif with the Watch Me Grow backpack drive, which was, we got a chance to meet Daniel Johnson, who plays for the San Francisco Giants. The Seaweed, Vallejo Seaweed came out to support him as well. It was nice. And then want to remind you that the backpack giveaway, actually, if you want to please participate, it's going to be the 16th. So please reach out to Jamila Hanif with Watch Me Grow, because she needs more support. And then late night basketball is tomorrow, which is from 6 to midnight. It supports all youth from 12 to the age of 25. We had over 120 students off the streets from 6 to midnight the first night. I believe between 80 and 90 the night before, the Friday before. And this is wonderful because they play with first responders, district attorney, probations, civic individuals such as ourselves, and the police department, you name it, comes out from all over Solano County. And so we welcome Benicia to come out. We welcome Soltrans to come out. We had 2 volunteers from the adult education, Dr. Laura Dutch and Sergeant Garrett's wife, Miss Garrett. They came out to support, so please come out, see the young people, because we want our young people to depend on us grown-ups to be there for them. So please come out, and if you want more information, just please reach out to me and I'll give it to you. Thank you. And then also, too, one more thing, I want to give a shout out to Bambinos, because they provided the spaghettis, you name it, salad, you name it, McDonald's. We had wonderful support from a Greek restaurant in Solano County, Sassoon. They came out and gave our kids healthy meals. So I want to thank Elite, Dr. Ramona Bishop, for offering her location.
Thank you. With that, I believe we are adjourned. Thank you. We are adjourned.